Okay, so we need a map.
Oh, we need a whole lot more than a map, but to put it simply, yeah, we need a map.
Okay, do you think they'd have that in a library, or where would you keep maps?
Well, I keep them in a trunk in my bedroom. But let's ask that Silvius guy, he probably knows.
Okay, I guess we'll go look for Silvius.
Yeah, you can find Silvius around lunchtime. You get some bowls of food, and then you sit down next to him at the table.
Hey, Silvius.
Hello, Paul. How goes the babysitting?
Oh, it's great. We've learned some board games and stuff.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes, what is it?
Where I come from, we take a lot of pride in mapping out the world. We even build globes showing the whole world because it's a sphere, and we put all the things on it that we know about. Do you guys have globes?
Oh, that must be far easier to map the world being on the surface.
Yeah, we can navigate by the stars, and we've got, landmarks that are consistent for everybody. It's great.
Well, down here we've had to deploy more ingenuity. Magnetic mechanisms are a favorite among those who can afford them, but many mages are taught to navigate by the true temple of Centopora.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. We have gods of the sun, and we can use the sun to navigate on the surface.
Well, the temple of Centopora is located beneath what you call the dungeon. The palace is also located beneath the dungeon, and beneath the palace is the temple. It's a major source of magical power, an ethereal pole, if you will.
Oh, you mean it's so magical that it's like the North Pole and you could find it from anywhere?
Yes, and they say that in ancient times you could commune directly with Centopora from the temple. It's forbidden to set foot in there now, but many of our people's greatest advancements are owed to communing with Centopora.
Well, why is it forbidden now?
Because Centopora forbade it. And when the god who is responsible for your prosperity tells you to stop calling, you do.
Well, could you go down there again if you wanted to? Had to?
You from the above world take a great deal of keen interest in the temple of Centopora.
Why, is that something that Namir's lackeys keep asking about?
They ask after it constantly, to the point of being a nuisance.
Well, what do they want to know?
Everything, anything. They're voracious for knowledge about the temple. Their interest, however, is clearly blasphemous. Queen Eloria has entertained them to some degree, but they have little to offer, or at least little of such value.
Well, if you're not supposed to go in there, what if they have gone in there? Torvald can teleport. What if that's where he is?
Then he is doomed, and I will tell you no more of the subject.
Ah.
Knowledge is power. It is not for me to arm you. If you have further questions, ask Eloria.
Well, that wasn't what I really wanted to know about. I'm super into maps, and I just wanted to know how you guys do your mapping system, your coordinates and everything.
Everything is measured outward from the true temple.
Does everybody map that way, or do other people have different maps?
Naturally, those who refuse to recognize the authority of Eloria have their own systems. But also naturally, they are more primitive, and likely lack the accuracy that our magically inclined maps have.
Wait, no. Okay, if everybody down here can find this place because it's a magical pole, then how come nobody on the surface knows about it?
Everyone on the surface, my overly critical friend, can find the magnetic poles if they have a proper device. That does not mean the magnetic pole ceases to exist just because you lack the mechanisms to find it. Finding the location of the one true temple was one of the many secrets bestowed upon us by Centopora. The surface would be ignorant of it.
Well, can I see one of your maps?
A good map is costly, and the result of an endeavor of bravery. You may as well ask if you can see a priceless work of art.
Is that wrong? Is that weird?
No. So long as you know what you're asking, I suppose that we can go to the library and see if they're willing to let you see one of the maps.
All right, well, I am ready for that as soon as you are.
Okay, Silvius finishes up his lunch, and then he takes you guys down to the library. Silvius approaches a woman, and he says, "Pardon me, mistress. The visitor would like to see one of our maps. He'd like to learn about our mapping systems." She cocks an eyebrow, and she says, "Is that not a security risk?" "It could be. He will be under supervision, however." He nods to you, Paul. "Perhaps we could produce one of the maps outside the city walls. That should pose no risk." She says, "I suppose I could find something of the slave pits. Wait here." And she leaves and then comes back a little while later with a small map of the slave pits. "Speaking of those slave pits, Lowry, you're in them. You're working with Rachel. Have you decided to do anything while you're there?"
Rachel, I've got a hypothetical question for you. Live free or die a slave?
Okay, see, now there's a trick question. We're always a slave to something, aren't we?
Some things are more slavish than others.
You know what? For someone purporting to be a wise man, I notice you don't have a very consistent philosophy.
What are you talking about? Of course I'm very consistent.
You're consistently annoying. Oh, I make my own slavery. I choose my own slavery. But also, here you are, trapped as a slave, and you have to choose freedom.
I may be choosing to believe that I am free.
Then why bother me about it, huh? If you're free, if you know what's what, why do you care what I think?
When you're as enlightened as I am, it feels like the correct thing to do to share that enlightenment with others. You could also be free, you know.
I'd like to be free from you. If I ever escape slavery, the first thing I'm going to do is come back, find you, and beat you to death with a shovel.
See, but in that way, you're making yourself a slave to revenge.
Oh, no. No, it's not. It's indentured servitude. I owe it as a debt to myself to kick your ass.
Well, you could do that, but it won't make you happy.
Why would it not make me happy?
Because you're a naturally unhappy person. I can tell.
Maybe. But there are levels of unhappiness, you know, and you elevate mine.
Well, see, your first step on the path to happiness is to lower those levels by accepting that I am here to torment you forever.
You are going to be executed by someone for insubordination long before I'm dead.
Nope. I've decided it's my life mission. I'm going to be a model slave, except specifically to prove you wrong.
All right, Rachel has been cursed with the presence of Lowry. Elvis and Paul back in the library. These maps are actually very complex. The height mapping stuff is really difficult to understand.
Okay, so I think if I understand, they use feet as a measurement, which is confusing because it's based on the queen's foot, which is smaller than a foot that you'd see on the surface because that's based on a king's foot.
Whose foot?
Well, down here I assume Queen Aloria's or some queen before her.
Well, what about on the surface?
Oh, so fun fact, there was a council where a bunch of kings got together and they took the average of all of their feet, and that is the official foot size.
So you're telling me that all the kings got together in like a room somewhere and measured their feet?
Well, the kings didn't actually go. It was just their representatives, and they had like plaster molds of their feet, but they took the average, and that's a foot.
So are there less feet?
I'm going to call them deep feet.
Okay, so there's more deep feet in a foot.
Yeah, there's like 0.9 deep feet in every foot.
So could you read these maps? Would that be possible for you?
No way. Because everything is measured from the center of the city, basically, right? But you have to know where the center of the city is relative to where you are, or otherwise, none of these measurements matter.
Well, they must have a way to know where they are.
Well, yeah, it's about angles. So, okay, suppose you had a device that could measure the distance from the center of the city to wherever you are, and then you also had a compass. So you know what angle you're facing, and you know the distance from point A to point B, and that means that you could figure out where you are.
Okay, so to navigate it all, you would need a compass and then some kind of way of measuring the magical distance from the center of the city.
Paul, I will almost guarantee you that they have those things somewhere in the barracks or the armory or something, because there's no way that militaries are making any kind of movement without that stuff.
Well, I don't know what a magic Centipora compass looks like.
Yeah, and you can't ask because not knowing that would be a dead giveaway because you're a guard, and what kind of guard wouldn't be trained on basic stuff like that?
Okay, well, then you gotta ask.
Okay, I'll try. Excuse me, Miss Librarian? Do you happen to have one of the compasses that shows your distance from the temple, the central temple?
Such devices are expensive and not simply given away.
So is that a no, then?
If you are curious about how they are constructed, I could find you a book about them.
Oh, that'd be good. This is all very fascinating, thank you.
She returns in a few moments with a book titled The Ethereal Compass, Basics in Construction.
Okay, great. Are there any diagrams of what one looks like?
Yes, and actually it looks like it doubles as a compass and sort of a depth meter. There's a central mechanism that's balanced inside of it, and it will pull towards the center of the city. The strength of the pull will tell you exactly how far away you are, and also the angle you are from the city. It'll give you an X, Y, and Z angle, all of which together gives you information as to specifically where you are. Skimming through this book, it looks like it's very difficult to get a lot of precision because they're incredibly delicate machines, and you have to get an exact pull strength while also showing angle. Any amount of resistance within the machine will make the angles less accurate, but you need the resistance to determine the strength of the magical pull. Still, though, a basic ethereal compass should be accurate to about, 400 feet. For broad-scale navigation, this is usually fine. That level of inaccuracy is, of course, not recommended for drawing property lines.
Okay, so Paul, we've learned that their maps are actually not going to be super duper accurate.
Why? How inaccurate are we talking? Like, are we gonna die because we get lost?
Well, I don't know about that, but if there's a fork in a cave and we're not sure, we could be off by hundreds of feet.
That sounds like die in a cave.
Well, we could die in the cave, or we could just get, really lost, but I mean, so long as we have the ethereal compass, we'll know where we are within a couple 100 feet.
So it's doomed, then.
No, it's not doomed. We just have to pack enough food so that if we get lost in a complex network of caves, we won't starve to death in the days it takes us to figure out where we actually are.
Oh my god. Is it this bad on the surface? Is this how it works on the surface?
Well, navigating by the stars isn't exactly, super accurate all the time either, but when you're on a boat in the ocean, you're kind of aiming for land. Couple 100 feet's okay. You just figure out how far off you are and then you sail the correct way. We get phantom islands and stuff on maps all the time.
What is a phantom island? Do they have phantom caves on their maps?
Well, if they're not accurate, I don't know how accurate their maps are, but if they're not accurate, then yeah, there's going to be cave openings listed that aren't there sometimes. If you imagine someone comes to a cave mouth and they're 300 feet away from where they think they are, they're going to make an incorrect mark on the map.
But these are deep feet, right? Which are smaller.
Yeah, I guess deep feet would be smaller, so it's not as inaccurate as it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta steal a compass, and then some food, and one of these maps, and that's it.
And then we have to escape from the castle with me and your dad, and also tell Cherry when we're leaving. Within, the next couple of days.
Okay, all right, I got it. So, we'll steal the maps and the compass on the day that we leave, and get my dad, and we'll make a run for it.
Do you think there might be any hidden passages in the castle?
Hidden passages?
I mean, there's gotta be, right? My dad says there's always hidden passages in every castle.
Okay, that's a good point. I'm gonna go talk to Sylvius. Elvis, go to your room.
Okay, but come and get me if you need to ask any stupid questions.
Thank you, will do. I deliver Elvis to his room, lock the door, then go find Sylvius.
All right, it's been another while, and it is now dinner time, so you once again find Sylvius in the mess hall.
Sylvius, could I ask you something important?
Speaking of importance, where's your child? Aren't you supposed to be babysitting?
Well, he's locked in his room for just a few minutes. I had to ask this.
I see. Go ahead.
Are there secret passages in the castle?
Yes. The royal guards will be taught where they are. It's exciting. And of course, the upper nobility knows where they are as well. Why?
What if we can't find Torvald because he escaped through a secret passage?
I would hate to imagine he knew where they were. But even if he had, where would he go?
Well, that's my follow-up question. Have you done an inventory on the ethereal compasses?
You think he may have taken one?
I mean, it's all just conjecture because Elvis has been asking about the compasses. It got me thinking, what if he got a hold of one?
I suppose if he got a hold of a map, he could potentially make it to the surface through alternate means.
What are the most likely places he'd go to get a compass?
The armory has the most obvious supply. I suppose that we should check. So Sylvius gets up, he goes down to the armory, and he meets the person there who manages the place. Sylvius asks to do an inventory check, so they pull out the compasses, you get to see where they're stored, they go through, they find that they're all in place. They put the compasses away. He then takes you to the library, checks in with the librarian, and makes sure that all the maps pointing the way to the surface are where they belong. They're all there. Breathing a sigh of relief, he puts them away. Paul, I believe that these maps should be off limits for our visitor, for obvious reasons.
Of course, obviously.
That said, I am glad that we haven't left this stone unturned. You've shown good initiative here.
Yes, sir. Just trying to think like the enemy, sir.
If you have any other ideas like this, don't hesitate to bring them to my attention.
Yes, sir. I should probably get back to my babysitting now. He might be getting worried.
Very good. I'll see you again. And you make your way back to Elvis.
Okay, Elvis, we know where the maps are, we know where the compasses are. All we gotta do now is tell Cherry, and then figure out where the secret passages are.
Oh, so there are secret passages. I knew it.
Yeah, but we don't know where they are. So here's where it gets tricky. We've got to figure out where they are.
Oh, well, that's easy. We'll just go and we'll pull over every, candle holder and pull out every book and everything.
No. That's gonna make them angry.
Well, we could start in my room and then clean it all up.
Well, actually, I was thinking, the nobility know where the secret passages are, right?
I mean, obviously, the secret passages aren't to save the cooks.
And they think that I'm a royal guard cadet or something. So if we tell them that there's danger and we have to leave through the nearest secret passage, I bet we could trick them to let us out of here.
Oh, and then if we get caught, we have a valuable hostage.
Well, yes.
So who are we going to kidnap?
I don't know, like a Duke or someone who's not that important?
I think dukes are important.
I mean, someone who's not going to be immediately missed. We shouldn't kidnap the queen. That would be suicide.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I don't know who that's going to be, though.
No, but I bet my dad knows. Okay, so get the compass, get the maps, get my dad, kidnap a noble. I think the plan's all together.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so we escape tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I would say on first light, but there's no light down here, so after breakfast, maybe?
Yeah, after breakfast.
Oh, gather up all the food. We gotta gather up lots of food.
Okay, meet my dad, and then ask the servant will bring us lots of food.
Oh, yeah, because they're entertaining us.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so food, that's all of it.
Except we gotta tell Cherry.
Okay, you, wait here again.
How long am I allowed to be alone?
I don't know if anyone's keeping track of that.
Oh, okay, I've got it. You just say... No, I'll say that you went to go to the bathroom. And then if anyone asks you, just say that I was very, very annoying and you needed a break.
That sounds like terrible security, but we've just got to hold for a day. So yeah, okay. All right, don't get stabbed by Torvald. I'm going to leave.
Okay, I got his sword. I should be fine. Good luck.
Okay, you head out of the castle. They don't really hassle you that much. You go down to the park. You stand on the edge of an underground lake and just yell for Cherry. Eventually, the water opens up, and there she is. She waves you down and then puts you guys in a bubble. Okay, what's the news? Please tell me it's good news. I'm going crazy down here.
All right, I explained the plan. Yada-da. There she goes. Now she knows. Tomorrow we're getting out.
All right, I will show up dressed as a servant, and as soon as you are ready to go, we should go.
It's going to happen all at once.
Well, I wouldn't like it to happen all in pieces. I'm with you. It's as good as we're going to get. I'll see you tomorrow. Cherry nervously lets you go. You head back to the castle. They hassle you just a little bit more, kind of ask you why you're coming and going, but they recognize you, and then you're back to Elvis.
So I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. If you are, I really appreciate support on Patreon. It helps me keep doing this stuff. Sometimes if or when I get things done early, I'll post it there. You can find me under Don Somewhere. If you sign up, you can ask for a link to the Discord, which is actually not Patreon exclusive, but you can ask for a link to the Discord anyway. We're trying to get more people to join us on Saturday nights for the Song of Ice and Fire tabletop game. It's not a role-playing game, it's got nothing to do with this series, but, we're looking for people, so... Calls to action that matter to me, please support on Patreon. Don't donate through Apple because they take 30% of the income and there's no benefit to me or anyone. And then join us to play tactics games on the internet. It's free. No, it's so hard to find people. But you can find other things that I've done on donsomewhere.com. It's my website, donsomewhere.com. Again, Don Somewhere on Patreon, Don Somewhere. And that's it. I hope you'll tune in for the next episode, and have a wonderful week, month, day, whatever.